On behalf of the Harbert College of Business at Auburn University, thank you for joining us for today's Auburn Full-Time MBA Information Webinar. I'm Katie McKay, Director of Student Recruitment for Graduate Business Programs, and will be serving as moderator along with Greg Bass, who will facilitate our question and answer of the webinar. This information session will explore the features of the Auburn Full-Time MBA program and provide insights into the student experience. Here are our panelists. Jim Parrish, Executive Director of Full-Time and Online Graduate Business Programs, Julie Vaught, MBA Admissions Advisor, Frank Aprandy, Director of Graduate Career Services, and Julianne Jacobs, MBA Class of 2018 and Communications Coordinator for the Country Music Association in Nashville, Tennessee. We invite you to submit your questions at any time during the presentation. Please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen rather than chat or hand raise so that we can streamline the questions and responses. If we do not get to your question during this live broadcast, we will follow up with you via email. The Harbert College of Business at Auburn University offers a robust slate of highly ranked graduate programs in online, on-campus, and hybrid formats. Wherever you are in your career, the Harbert College of Business has a degree option to fit your needs. For more information on these MBA and specialty master's programs, we invite you to visit our website at harbert.auburn.edu. With that, let me introduce Jim Parrish, who will get the program started.
Thank you, Katie. And again, welcome everyone to our full-time MBA webinar. We're going to walk through a few things with you today and talk more about the different advantages for you to choose our program. We're going to walk through the curriculum and let you know more about what courses you would take and how you would best line those up for your career. We're going to highlight graduate career services, and we have Mr. Aprandy that will be here to talk more about that specific area. We're going to let you know more about our tuition and the return on investment for being part of the full-time MBA program. And we're also going to talk about the admissions criteria, give you a look at our class profile, and helping you see yourself in the full-time MBA program. One of the cool things about our program as well today is we're going to also give you a look into one of our alumni, Julianne, who will be with us to talk with you about her experience and let you know how it's impacted her career. And then finally, allow you a chance to ask some questions of our panelists to get a better idea about how the Auburn MBA can be part of your career plans. And looking at the advantages, we want to make sure you are familiar with our program. Auburn has a very strong brand, high quality, and very nationally ranked, recently named a top 30 public MBA program in the spring of 2020, really showcasing the major reason you should look at our program. So our full-time program is fulfilling an obligation of being a leader in the space, and we're excited about where the program is going to go. This is a cohort-based program, so you will begin your cohort experience in the fall semester. We have a 16-month MBA program where you'll study in a cohort and give you an experience that allows you to leverage relationships and expand your network by being part of that new cohort in the fall. We have a fully integrated career services team that works with you on your plans. It works on helping you establish yourself as a career-minded professional and looking for that next step. And Mr. Aprandy will talk more in detail about the advantages of being part of that career services opportunity. We have several experiential learning activities where you really get to be hands-on and explore different types of things. We believe that experiential education allows you to really understand more about what your education is going to provide for you. So the experiential learning activities that we have through our leadership workshop series, our speaker series, as well as our case competition events really allow you to kind of get the full experience for your education. We have a global engagement with industry. We want you to know how business is conducted in an international environment. And so we have an opportunity for you to learn about international business, a way to expand your knowledge of different cultures and learn and have a global mindset for doing business. And we also have the Auburn Network, which we also commonly refer to as the Auburn family. The Auburn Network is vast, and it will allow you to expand your reach as a part of our program so you have the same benefits of those who've done other degrees through the Auburn MBA and other undergraduate studies as well. And finally, one of the advantages is our accreditation. So we are accredited by AACSB, and AACSB is the gold standard in accreditation. So as you look at other opportunities, You want to make sure that AACSB is that hallmark you're looking for. Only 4% of business schools worldwide have AACSB accreditation. So it's something that's very important as you look at the quality of the business education you are pursuing. I want to take you through the curriculum so you get an idea of what courses you'll be signing up for. The cohort MBA program here at Auburn does give you a well-rounded foundation in business. It is a lockstep full-time experience where your classes are set for you. When we begin a new cohort every fall semester, we walk through these courses as you can see here on the slide. We set you up with some finance and stats courses as well as some strategy, operations excellence, as well as our advanced professional development class. We will return the spring semester offering again another look into our advanced professional development. We also highlight marketing and consumer theory, as well as information systems, as well as cost analysis and the global business experience that we are reviewing as we detail that information. The summer MBA, the internship over the summer will be part of your studies as you'll look to engage with corporations and other organizations to get that hands-on experience. And finally, you'll come back for your second fall semester to round out your MBA with your elective courses, organizational behavior, as well as our integrated business project and case analysis. The BUSI 7310 course, or commonly referred to as TRAC, which stands for Team Resource Applied Consulting, is our MBA consulting course where you take the information you've learned throughout the program in theory and you apply it to a real live case. The program does source consulting projects for you, and you'll work with your client over the semester-long program to provide real value to that client. The cohort experience is something that we get high marks on from our students. We progress through the program as a group, and so you really get to forge relationships. On the images you'll see here, orientation is our first time on the ground with the new cohort, and they're able to start planning and strategizing and getting to know their classmates so you can progress through this program as a team. You build a network of peers through the cohort model, and so you're able to leverage the relationships, the experiences, and the background. As you can see here on this slide, we were able to have our class be face-to-face for the fall 2020 semester. We were looking at safety and making sure the health of our students was a priority, but we also knew the cohort model was very important and decided to study together. We're working on making sure that it's always safe and healthy for our students as we return in the spring semester, but we're preparing to be face-to-face in the fall 2021 as well, understanding that we'll work with guidelines from the national, state, and local levels to make sure we provide our students with a safe and meaningful experience. We have several things that you can do to accentuate your time in the program. Graduate certificates have become a great option to upskill and receive an additional credential as part of your MBA program. We have a business analytics, cybersecurity management, management information systems, as well as supply chain management that you can earn while completing your MBA. There's no additional classes you have to take, but rather you apply formally for these graduate certificates and you will receive an additional credential to go along with your MBA by earning the graduate certificate in one of these areas. Our deepest dive is our graduate dual degree options. So you can earn 2 degrees in your time in the program for an additional semester. You can earn your dual degree in one of 4 areas: a Master's of Science in Finance, a Master's of Science in Information Systems, Supply Chain Management, and a partnership with our Ginn College of Engineering as a Master's of Industrial and Systems Engineering. So it's the additional semester and the hours that are listed there, but it's our deepest dive for you to become both a generalist and a specialist. As part of the MBA program, you receive both of those degrees in the dual degree program. So you can, if you'd like to identify yourself as a dual degree candidate, we can work with you on the next steps to complete your dual degree as part of the program. Talk about value. Auburn's MBA program produces a tremendous value to our students. You heard us talk about our ranking. You heard us talk about where we are as a top 30 public MBA program. Being a public school, we believe our pricing is competitive. We do break it down between resident and non-resident tuition. So you can see the numbers there based on current rates for tuition. We do offer graduate assistantships to help offset some of those costs with regards to tuition discounting. The graduate assistantships are full or partial waivers of tuition as well as a monthly stipend. As you apply for the program, the admissions committee will look at all of your materials and make decisions on admissions through different interviews, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but also as we review you through the process, we'll also determine if a GA position is available or if it's something we'll need to look at a different way. Please know that it is merit-based, so we will look at your application holistically and the information that you do provide to determine if we can invest in you through this research assistantship and allow you to be a part of the GA program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Frank O'Prandy, our Director of Graduate Career Services, and he'll take us to the next step. Frank?
All right. Thank you, Jim. I look forward to talking to you guys today about Graduate Career Services. As mentioned before, we do feel it is a differentiator for our program. It is fully integrated into the MBA program. As you saw when Jim covered the curriculum slide, you see the Advanced Professional Development course, a 1-hour required part of the core curriculum, each of the semesters that you're in the program. Our career coaching is also integrated. We have dedicated staff that works with our students on an ongoing basis and actually starts our work from a coaching perspective prior to your entry into the program. We do a summer series of assignments to help you get ready for the recruiting season that starts shortly after orientation completes. As I mentioned, our career coaching is available throughout your time in the program, and it is based on a document we call the roadmap, which helps students to map out their path forward through their career search. We have a very, very high level of employer engagement. We bring back alumni as well as employers to help students in a couple of different ways. The first is to get hired for internships and full-time opportunities, but also we ask our employers and our alumni to invest in our students and help educate them on different career paths and what different roles might be like and what the work from a day-to-day perspective is, as well as help educate them on the culture of the different firms that they might be interested in. Our career programming is something that we do typically on our Fridays, and it is what we call our professional development series, where we bring in alumni and employers to help us with topical items, different things like our Excel boot camp, Tableau boot camp, writing seminars, and those kinds of things. We do our iLead program on Fridays, which is our internal leadership development offering. We have a robust case competition schedule where we have students try out and put themselves on a team and then compete across the nation in case competitions, which we think is a great way to develop professionally in the program. We like to say from a career services perspective that we are student-centered, but market-focused. Another thing that you'll find, as an advantage to our program, Jim touched on earlier, is that return on investment. We believe that, our participation and the use of our graduate career services team increases your career potential, right? We've had 100% internship placement every summer for the last 8 years. And at graduation, 70% of our students have full-time offers in hand that they've accepted. And within 3 months post-graduation, over 90% of our students have achieved that goal of theirs, right? Our full-time and our internship placements are at some of the best companies in the world, as you can see on the slide. But really our focus is not in directing students towards certain companies, but really helping the student to figure out where they want to go and helping them to achieve that and get to those places. At this point, I will turn it over to Julie Vaught.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everybody who's joining us today for this webinar. As the admissions advisor for the MBA program, one of the questions I get quite often is discussion about our class profile and the class demographics. And we have a slide up here showing some of the average years work experience, the average age, average GPA, average GMAT of 580. And we do have, our cohort currently is 50 students representing 20 different undergraduate institutions. A lot of students just kind of like to look at this information and see how they fit in. And again, our MBA, full-time MBA starts each fall term. Now I'm going to go over the actual admissions requirements. Please remember that while you're applying to the program, I will be your point of contact. So you can call me or email me or make an appointment with me through our bookings program, and I'll be glad to go over all of this with you. The first thing you're going to start with is the actual application, and that comes out of our graduate school. It's the email address, or the address is www.grad.auburn.edu. It's a $60 application fee. It's an all electronic application. All the documentation is going to get uploaded into the application. So you will need to upload a PDF of unofficial transcripts. We can actually make our acceptance decision based on the unofficial transcripts. Then if you are accepted into our program, you will have to provide us with official transcripts. And one of the rules out of our graduate school is that any and all transcripts from any institution that you've attended has to be on file. Letters of recommendation, we require 2. There's actually space for 3. We somewhat leave the letters of recommendation up to you, but we do generally like to see either a current or a former supervisor if possible. And then you will be submitting a professional statement. Now, some MBA programs actually have a certain topic or subject for you to address in your personal statement. Some programs have a set criteria that these statements be submitted in, maybe 300 words or 500 words. We don't have that. We leave the personal and professional statement up to you. But what I tell my students is this is your chance to tell us about you. We want to get to know you, how you got to where you are today, what your career goals are, and how you think Auburn University can help you attain those goals. You will also need to submit a current resume for us to look at. Once you have all of those in, you're almost finished. We need to discuss the GMAT or the GRE test scores next. Prior to the COVID virus, we did require the GMAT or the GRE score to be on file, but we have actually revised our policy for this coming fall term. And it's a tiered policy. You'll need to look at it and see kind of where you fit in and which criteria you might meet for this. If you do have 2 years work experience and a 3.50 GPA, that will qualify you for having a GMAT waiver granted, and so on. 4 years and a 3.25, 6 years and a 3.20. Anything beyond 8 years of work experience, we will grant you a GMAT and a GRE waiver. And also if you have a terminal degree. I think now I turn it over to Jim.
All right, thanks, Julie Vaught. We're excited about this next Julie we're going to introduce to you. Julianne Jacobs is one of our recent alums that has graduated from the program back in 2018. And we wanted to give you a chance to hear more from her about her experience. And so welcome, Julianne. We're glad you're here.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Great. Well, let's get started with getting to know you. So tell us a little bit about your background and your current professional role.
Yeah, for sure. So I am in Nashville, Tennessee currently. I graduated from Auburn with an undergraduate degree in public relations and a minor in business, and then went right through and got my MBA, as you said, right after that, graduating in 2018. But I'm now in Nashville. I work at the Country Music Association as the communications coordinator in the PR department there. In my role, I kind of wear a lot of different hats, but big bucket items are media relations, talent relations, and then assistance on the production side. day to day, I oversee our departmental budgets as well as shared budgets. I work closely with our member magazine and oversee our departmental interns. So kind of a hand in a lot of different things, but super, super thankful and grateful for everything that I took away from my time at Auburn, and especially in the MBA program. I am certain that I would not be where I am without it. So.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad you had such a favorable experience. You know, as you looked at the opportunities that were ahead of you after your undergraduate degree, talk to us about your decision to pursue an MBA and why you ultimately chose the Auburn Full-Time MBA program for your destination.
Yeah, I had always had in my mind that I wanted to pursue a graduate degree after graduating undergrad, and I think that the MBA degree as a whole really provides a robust provides robust avenues for really anything you want to do, and it gives you a really holistic education, which I really appreciated and ultimately wanted to pursue. So that's why I decided to go the MBA route in general. But I did some research, and Auburn felt right to me, because of its ranking nationally. It's one of the most prestigious MBA programs out there. So that in and of itself made me, curious to just stick around and do it here. But on a personal note, my older brother actually graduated from Auburn in the MBA program. And so I saw firsthand the value that he had in the program and where he kind of went after graduating. So that really pushed me toward Auburn as well. And two, I at the time didn't know what avenue I wanted to go down. And so with Auburn's dual degree options and certificate options, it provided different ways for me to tap into finance, supply chain, and really spread my wings and have opportunities to learn more about all of those things if I had chosen to go down that route. So the dual degree options really played a part in it as well. Just intriguing in that sense. So that's why I decided to stick around and do my MBA here.
And we're glad you did. You're a great member of the cohort experience. And speaking of the cohort experience, can you describe that for our students, on the call today? A lot of students ask, what was the experience like as a student in the Auburn MBA cohort, and how has that impacted you since graduation?
Well, I would say that the cohort experience has been one of the most valuable things coming out of the MBA program. I mean, I stay in contact with 80% of everyone that I graduated with across all different industries. And so from a networking perspective, it's invaluable. But during my time in the MBA program, I feel like you guys and Auburn in general did a really good job of curating an experience that forced you to work together, because that's the workplace in general, is teamwork and team building. And so I feel like having that base from my time in the MBA program was so helpful going into the workplace. But not only just working on teams together academically, but forging relationships through iLead and things like that, where you connect on a deeper level as well. So it's not just surface level friendships, it's true friendships that I can carry forward, so that 5 years down the line, I don't feel nervous or awkward calling one of my friends in, the finance field and saying, hey, I need help with this, or what's your advice on this? So I cannot speak highly enough about the cohort experience and what it's given me outside of the MBA program and how it grew me within the program as well.
Sounds like you made some really strong relationships while you were here and are leveraging those still to this day. So that's great to hear. So Julianne, I have a few more questions for you, but I want to remind our attendees that there's a chance coming up soon for you to ask your questions of Julianne. So I would encourage you to begin thinking about those using that Q&A feature that we have, because it'll be your turn to ask questions here in a little bit. But the Auburn MBA program places a strong focus on preparing our students to be career ready. If you will, describe your interactions with graduate career services and how it prepared you for success in your professional career.
Yeah, so, and I think Frank touched on this earlier, but for me, one of the biggest things and one of the most helpful tools was the roadmap, because I feel like a lot of times people are just assuming that this is the next right thing and, oh, I guess I should be doing this, but no one really maps it out for you, but Graduate Career Services did. And that was super helpful for me to know, okay, this is what I need to be doing now. And in 3 months, this is the next step. So I always felt on track. I didn't feel like I was drowning at any point. And so that was super helpful for me and something that I found really valuable throughout my time in the MBA program, but also just the networking opportunities that we had with industry leaders and employers that you guys brought in consistently. I felt like grew me network wise, but also just putting us in the positions to talk to people that we don't know. And that sounds kind of basic, but just learning about the industries and learning about those people, I've taken those skills with me in my current role now. And those two things are just on top of all the resume building and interview prep and cover letters and things like that. I know personally for cover letters specifically, that was something huge that I curated and tailored really specifically, and found out that that was one of the major things that got me the position I'm in now. So just tactical things that having professional eyes on was really huge throughout my time there. And then also just the availability of everyone in the office and everyone at Career Services at any time if you had a question or an interview that you needed a space for. They were always there for that. And so that was awesome. And I can say that I did feel so prepared and so buttoned up with everything that I needed to know and needed to do walking into the workplace. And I don't think I realized that until I was talking to other people that maybe didn't have that same experience. And so I've really learned to appreciate the value that I had walking out of the MBA program in that aspect. So.
That's great. I like to hear that. So your cohort had the opportunity to travel to Croatia during your time in the Auburn MBA program. So can you talk about your experience with that global program, as well as the importance to your overall student experience and business education? And just as a quick caveat on the international immersion, this was a pre-COVID trip. We're hopeful in the future that we're able to immerse our students in the international experience. We are delivering a educational engagement through international studies, and we're hopeful for an opportunity to go and travel again. But we're monitoring that on a day-to-day basis. So I want to throw that asterisk in there real quick, Julianne. So, but please tell us about your time in Croatia and the impact it made on you and your studies.
Yeah. So of course, the Croatia trip was a once in a lifetime experience, and it grew me personally and professionally and academically. I can wholeheartedly say that. I know going into it from the coursework side of it, I think being able to zoom out a little bit and take yourself out of your day-to-day business mind and putting yourself and immersing yourself in another culture and another way that they do business, I think was so eye-opening, and something that I learned so much about global business and global engagement. Like I said, both personally and professionally and academically, just about things that go on globally that in the business world that we maybe don't always see or think about on a day-to-day. So I could not speak more highly of that experience, and walking out of it with a new perspective on not only the Croatian business model, but the American business model as well. And then comparing those two things, I think really opened my eyes afterwards. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's very helpful. So I have one more question for you, and then we'll turn it over to the attendees to ask their questions. And finally, how has the Auburn network, or the Auburn family, as we refer to it, made a difference in your experience?
I think the Auburn family has been everything in my experience. I kind of touched on it, but when you go to Auburn, you become part of the family. And I know everyone says that, but it's really true. And you're just adopted in, and everyone wants you to succeed. And I think that's the underlying thread throughout everything, is that we are cheering each other on and we're building each other up, whether that's in the same industry or completely opposite industries. Ultimately, everyone wants you to succeed, because a win for Auburn is a win for everyone, and a win for you is a win for Auburn. So I think that's been so amazing, again, from the networking side, to be able to connect with people on that, because that is so true. Even people that I meet day to day, you can if they go to Auburn, you can always connect on that. And so I think that it's been amazing to be able to leverage that going forward. And I know that I'll continue to leverage it throughout my career.
That's really, really helpful and strong information. And Julianne, we very much appreciate your insights, and thank you for giving the time to join us today. We'll now turn it over to the questions from our audience and hear from you. So back to you, Katie.
At this time, we'll pass it along to Greg for the question and answer portion of the webinar.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Thank you, Jim. Julianne, as our special guest, I'd like to start the questions and point them in your direction. Our first question coming in from Jay is, how did you balance a full-time course load and a graduate assistant schedule? And I guess this may go to, what's a day in the life like for a graduate assistant student?
Yeah, so we worked between 14 and 20 hours a week as in the graduate assistantship. So that was spread out differently across departments depending on what the assistantship looked like. But for me, as much like anything else, it kind of just came down to time management. But that being said, it was very doable. I didn't feel like, of course, weeks were better or worse than others, but on the whole, I never felt like I couldn't do both. That said, it did take planning and it did take time management, but everyone, especially the graduate assistantship leads, they understand, the coursework that you're in, and they kind of know your position and are so willing to work with you on whatever that looks like, week to week, month to month, whatever it may be. So I would definitely say that it's doable for sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, next question. And Julianne, we're going to stay with you on this one. What program feature has proven most valuable so far in your professional career? The question was for program feature, but it may be a class or however you want to phrase your response.
I think I would say probably the thing that I've taken with me and I've seen the most value consistently is the iLead sessions that we had. I feel like growing personally through those and learning about myself and learning about my leadership tendencies and my leadership styles and how to have those crucial workplace conversations and things like that. I've taken that with me in the workplace so much, and I've gained so much valuable insight from those iLead sessions. Of course, the coursework I've taken with me as well, our marketing classes and things. I'll often reference things that we talked about there. But I think on the whole, learning about myself and learning about my leadership styles has proven the most valuable for me, and something that I know I'll continue to build on throughout my career.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, Jim, this question's for you, and this comes to us from Stan. Do you anticipate on-campus classes being back to normal at the start of fall?
Well, I would say that normal is an interesting word, Greg. I would say our goal is to provide a superior student experience. For fall 2021, we're still taking in information as it comes. Our plan right now is to continue on and have a class meet in person beginning in August of 2021. For all students who are interested in participating in that full-time MBA cohort, now is the time to apply. So if you have not already applied, I would encourage you to take the next steps, connect with Julie, and get the information that you need to begin the application process, because we are currently doing interviews for the fall 2021 cohort. But our plan is to monitor what transpires between now and the summertime. Our university has been very supportive and very helpful in giving us guidelines to pursue. But I do anticipate having students in a face-to-face capacity for fall 2021 in the new cohort.
Okay, wonderful. Jim, you mentioned applications, and so that brings us to our next question, and I'm going to address this to Julie Vaught. Julie, is there an advantage in getting my application in early?
Yes, very much so. You want to be at the front of the line. You don't want to be at the end of the line. And we do keep our cohorts small. That is something we pride ourselves with. And so we do have limited seating. So the earlier you can submit an application, the more advantageous it's going to be for you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Julie, I'm going to stick with you on this one. What information do you recommend including in the personal statement? And you touched upon this to some degree. Is there a particular format or length that you're looking for?
No, we don't have that. We leave it up to you, the student. But this is going to be, you're going to be presenting yourself to us. You're going to be telling us about yourself and what your goals are and how you think Auburn can help you attain those goals. And our review committee is going to read that. And so you want to present a clear picture of yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Jim, this next question comes to us from Dina. How would you describe the culture of the Auburn MBA program? Is it competitive or collaborative, and why? And Julianne, you may want to take a swipe at that question as well, but let's start with Jim.
Well, thanks, Dina. That's a great question. I think that I would say that it is a collaborative environment. Like Julianne said earlier, a win for you is a win for Auburn, is a win for your cohort. And so there's a lot of collaboration. You know, practically we have group projects, we have consulting projects, there's case competitions. All those revolve around working together, leveraging the strengths of each person to perform and provide value to your classmates, to your client, whatever the case may be. So I would say that collaborative would be our focus. I believe that the students, the faculty, administration, we all pull in the same direction to provide that experience for the students. So I would say that we're collaborative, and then we can celebrate the achievements of all because the collaboration has taken place. But I do believe Julianne was in the thick of it, and she can see the perspective from her side. So I'd love to hear her take on that question as well.
Yeah, I would echo, honestly, a lot of what you said. I do think that it is very collaborative and a collaborative environment, and you are set up to work with others and to build off of others and to lean on each other throughout the MBA experience. And I think as a product of that, when you're surrounded by people that challenge you, it brings everyone up. And so I think that I would definitely use collaborative to describe my experience. And like you said, Jim, everyone's pulling in the same direction. So I think it just brings us all up as we're pushing in the same way.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Julianne. I've got a question for Frank. Frank, this question comes to us from Tracy. How do you engage employers with your MBA students? And let me add to that. I'm also applying to MBA programs in some major metropolitan areas, and I'm curious if the college town environment would provide similar access.
Well, thank you, Tracy. That's a great question. You know, we are constantly thinking about the different ways that employers can help us and engage with our students, right? What we are looking for them to do is to help us to educate our students, to build their knowledge base, to show them the way, especially if they're alumni. They're very helpful like that. The size of the city, honestly, doesn't really matter. We have folks that will engage with us from all over the country, all over the world. And especially, you know, in a virtual space, we've learned that geography doesn't matter anymore, right? We've had events where we've had folks come in from New York, Chicago, Cincinnati, the West Coast. So our employers understand the value that an Auburn student or an Auburn hire will bring. And so they're eager to engage in that way. We're very opportunistic that way with our employers. If they have an idea on how they want to engage, maybe it's a site visit back when we were able to travel, or a side-by-side, a job shadowing. We've adapted to do those kinds of things in the virtual world. Our employers want to understand and get to know our Auburn students. And so be it here in Auburn or in a major metropolitan area, we've got employers that want to engage with our students, and we do that all the time.
Good, thank you. All right, this next question, this is a two-part question, and this is going to challenge our panel. Jim, I'd like for you to take the first part and Frank the second. So first part, how many additional semesters will the dual degree take? And then Frank, from a career standpoint, is it worth the extra time and tuition?
So the dual degree is an additional semester. So for fall 2021 applicants and new entrants, you'll finish your MBA in December of 2022. But if the dual degree and adding that on to your time is of interest, the time commitment would be additionally until May of 2023. So it is an additional semester. You will work with an advisor who will specifically walk you through the dual degree plan of study and what will happen and what you'll need to take. So it's important to do your research and see if that's something that you want to pursue. I know Frank's going to highlight the career piece of it and how it could be a right fit, but we also encourage you to look at the classes that you will be taking as part of the dual degree. So again, our dual degree options are in finance and information systems, in supply chain, and the partnership with industrial and systems engineering. So you want to look at those courses to make sure that it's of interest to you, that it makes sense in terms of the commitment of time and resources, and that could be something that may be beneficial for you. So from a time perspective, it will be an additional semester in the full-time space for you to achieve those dual master degrees.
Okay, Frank?
Yeah, Greg. So I would say the answer to the second part of that question is it depends. It depends on the individual student and on their situation. Generally, I'm of the opinion that a dual degree, especially the way we've got it set up where it's just one additional semester, seems like a no-brainer, right? But again, we push our students in our career coaching model to ask those questions, to gather what we call market intelligence. What does the market think you need to have? For the role that you're after, is it going to be additive? Is it going to be helpful to you to add that depth in finance or information systems or supply chain in the future, right? So that would be the overall answer. For some students, it's just an idea that, you know, while I'm here and I've got this opportunity, I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of it. It will make me as a student or as a candidate more competitive and more open to other options from a career perspective. Final thing I would say on that, though, is the data does show that there is a premium salary-wise typically for folks who do get the dual degree. But again, it's going to depend on the individual student and what they're looking to do with their career.
Okay, all right. Well managed, guys. That was great. Julianne, so what surprised you most about the Auburn MBA after you got into the program? And I'm supposing, I imagine that's from a positive perspective. What was the happy thing about the program or a happy surprise?
So, not to sound like a broken record, but I honestly do think that it was the network that I built during my time in the MBA program. I think I went into it obviously under the impression of I'm going to go in, I'm going to do my work, and I'm going to conquer this and kind of move on and start my career. But I gained so much more than that. I think I gained a robust network of people in the field. So that's employer wise, but I also gained a robust network of peers that were alongside of me that are running at the same pace I am and are at the same place in their career. So I think that was the most surprising thing, in a really good way, that I came out with just a really good network of all levels of individuals that I continue to tap into and leverage throughout my career.
Okay, thank you. Frank, coming back to you. All right, this question is from Keith. My objective coming into an MBA program is preparing for the next step professionally. Is there anything I can do in advance to ensure I get a good internship and eventually a good job offer? So this is someone who's looking at things proactively.
I think that's a great question, Keith. The answer, from a doing stuff ahead of time, not really. We're going to spend a lot of time with you. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to actually start working with you in the summer before you come into the program, so that from a career development, from a professional readiness perspective, you're going to be on track to hit the recruiting seasons very, very hard, and you'll be well prepared. As you think about a 16-month program, you only have 3 recruiting seasons. And the way we've structured our career services program, you will not have any time off, right? And as I mentioned, you'll actually get started ahead of time.
Frank, Julianne mentioned the career roadmap. So what you just described, is that a reference to the career roadmap?
It's actually the work that we do in the summer is not part of the class, and it's not part of the roadmap formally. Mm-hmm. But what we've understood, what we've come to learn, we really want our students to be thoughtful and intentional about the time they spend thinking about career. The best time for them to do that might not be the first month of a graduate program. When they're getting their feet under them, they're trying to figure out which way to go and how to get through all the reading and Dr. Yost's class and Dr. Clark's stats and all those great things that they're going to experience in that first semester. So what we've learned is, let's go ahead and pull that information out, some of that pre-work, into the summer, where they can be thoughtful, where they can be intentional to carve out the time they need to think about the things that we really feel that they need to. So it complements the roadmap, but it's not specifically part of it.
Okay, great. Jim, we have a track question, and we mentioned this briefly in our earlier presentation. So you mentioned the track program. Do students have face time with the business organization when they're preparing our case, or do we look to other resources for our research?
It's a great question, Greg. TRACK, just as a refresher, it's an acronym that stands for Team Resourced Applied Consulting. It is the final core class that you will take in the MBA program. It's a combo class with the full-time students, as well as our online MBA students who are also pursuing their degree, albeit at a distance from Auburn. So you will be paired up and teamed up really with groups of students that are going to work on a project. So to answer the question, Greg, we source projects. We send out the scope of the projects to all of our students that are enrolled in the course. From there, the students can review the business summaries of the organizational issue or challenge that our firms are seeking assistance on. And then from there, you can choose your top 3 programs, or rather clients, to work for. So with that, you are put on teams, and then we assign the clients out, and mostly, I'd say 95% of the students enrolled in the class get their first, second, or third choice of the client to work with. So there's a desire to work, and the clients need the assistance. So you are paired up and teamed up with individuals as well as clients, and you will have conversations with the clients, assisting them gathering data, doing the research throughout the course of the semester. And then towards the end of the semester, there is a requirement of a presentation where you will gather and do a presentation for your client. It is a competition of sorts, as the client will review the best project along with a faculty judge There will also be awards for the best presenter for each client team, as well as the best Q&A session for the client. So we think it's one of the best things that we do in the program. It's a great way to connect industry and academia to really help solve some issues or problems that some companies are having. The companies range from not-for-profit to recent startups to Fortune 500 companies and the recent past of this particular challenge. So it is a great way to showcase your talent. It is a great way to get noticed by some firms. We've had some firms that have actually offered full-time positions to our students that are participants in the track program. So I think it's one of the coolest things that we do, and it's a great way to get face time as well as polish your skills in presenting consulting projects as well as presentation skills.
Thanks, Jim, for expanding on that. We only have a few more questions, unless our audience would like to take the opportunity to add a few more to the list. But Julie Vaught, this one's for you. What is the process for applying for a graduate assistantship?
That's a good question, Greg. I get that one all the time. Students do not apply for a graduate assistantship. A graduate assistantship is an award given by the review committee. Once a student has a completed application on file, and I help them do that, I move it on to the review committee. The review committee is going to go over everything in their package. They're going to read their resume, their professional statement. They're going to look at GPAs. They're going to read what their recommenders say about them and that type of thing. And then it will be, they would decide at that point, the review committee decides if they're going to schedule a professional interview. And after the professional interview is when the committee decides which students receive one of these awards. And a graduate assistantship waives tuition. So it's very lucrative, it's very prestigious. It's something else you can put on your resume. You do work up in the office like Julianne did. You have a lot more interaction with professors and faculty. You get picked for extra things we do. It is a wonderful thing, but it is an award given by the review committee.
Okay, thank you. Frank, I've got a question for you, and then let's close this out with one more question for Julianne. So Frank, your question first. I recently decided to pursue the MBA degree upon my graduation this coming May. Will I be at a disadvantage without having full-time work experience?
Craig, thanks for that question. You know, it goes back to a similar answer that I gave earlier, and it depends, right? It depends on the student and what they're going to be going into. We find that our students, you know, the data says that there's not really a huge disadvantage for coming straight through from undergrad because we have things like our experiential learning programs like our internship, which help those students get the experience that they need to present in interviews so that they can talk about what they've learned, what they've experienced in the workplace so that they can show how valuable they'll be to organizations. So the program is built to help students to advance in the direction of the career that they want, whether they come straight through or if they're coming out of the marketplace and pausing for a career enhancing program like an MBA.
Okay, thanks, Frank. All right, Julianne, this is a question that I came up with. It's one I always like to ask our recent graduates. For a prospective student coming into this MBA program or any MBA program, what piece of advice would you give to them in preparing and determining what to expect from a program?
I think I would say to lean into everything. I think that a lot of times you can get really caught up in everything that you need to do and every box that you need to check. And I'm guilty of doing that as well. But I just think that there's so much value in every aspect of the program, from the coursework to the track program to the iLead sessions, all of it benefiting you in a different way. And so I think just making sure that you're engaged and leaning into every aspect, it positions you to have success in every area of your life. And so I think that would be, that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Oh, thank you, Julianne. And thank you to all of our panel members. We appreciate the great information. And to our audience, thank you for the excellent questions that you provided. And we'll close out the Q&A session.
Great, thank you, Greg. Thank you to all of our participants who joined us today. If you would like to learn more, we have some websites on the screen that you will be able to go to view some of our video student spotlights, our website for more information. And if you've decided that you're ready to apply, here's how you do that as well. But again, thank you to all the participants who joined us. We appreciate your interest in the Auburn Full-Time MBA program and look forward to guiding you through the next steps. To learn more, please visit us at harbert.auburn.edu or reach out via phone or email. You can also scan the QR code on the screen to schedule an appointment with our admissions advisor. On behalf of our team in the Harbert College of Business, thank you and War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.